All right, we're back. This is Dwayne Dixon, and you're watching Success of a Nation. The first episode, again, it dealt with, who I am and why I feel I'm qualified to bring you a show like this. Well, this particular episode, which will be the last, and then I'll start, talking to guests and delving into other issues or concerns or, just dropping other information. But this episode is going to cover my why. Why am I doing this? And I know I've sort of touched on a little bit of that, here and there during the first episode, but this will go into more detail as to why I'm here, why I'm doing this, and even why I'm wired the way I am, and I think all of that plays a part in me being here today. So, without further ado, I guess we'll dive into that. I gave this some thought, and I would have to say it all really started for me in college. And what I mean by that is I had a couple of friends. I associated with everybody. I had black friends, I had white friends, Hispanic friends. It didn't matter. But I definitely saw a difference with my white friends and associates. One guy comes to mind. His name was Sean. He was a good friend of mine. He came from money. His father was an owner of hotels, and his business partner was Rick Hendricks of Hendricks Motors. If you're driving around, you see dealerships Hendricks. That was Rick Hendricks. That's Rick Hendricks. He's also owner of a NASCAR team, and they've won all sorts of awards in that space. But nevertheless, this was Sean's father's business partner. So during summer break, I go with Sean to his family's house, and we go to the lake house during the summer, and the cabin or the mountain house during the winter, and it was just a world that I had just never really experienced before. So that was my first introduction to, oh, this is different. And more importantly, it let me know that I wanted it. And that's when it sort of, clicked for me. No, I want this for myself. So there's that. Then there were the other guys, the other white guys that I would observe who, when it came time for graduation or even internships before graduation, usually in your junior year, you start interning to prepare for when you graduate, and then hopefully turns into a job, that old bit. They always had jobs lined up, always had internships, and I'm just like, hey man, what is going on, man? Why? How are y'all getting jobs before we even graduate? And the answer was always the same. I called my dad. My dad called a friend of his. My dad knows the VP. My dad knows the president. My uncle is the president, or he knows the president, or he knows the CFO, whatever. And it was always the same story. And it was at that point I said, whenever I have children, I'm going to be able to make a phone call, because that was something that was completely foreign to me. And, my father or mother, they were doing the best they could, but they certainly weren't calling the president of IBM and now all of a sudden I got a job, whatever, right out of school or before I even graduate. So, nevertheless, that is when seeing Sean and how his family lived, and then seeing these guys and the access that they had, that is where it started for me. So, fast forward, now I've got a son. I'm arming him with everything I can to make sure that he's prepared. He was reading on a third, fourth grade level in kindergarten. I remember trying to get him into the gifted program, and it was always some nonsense. Oh, he missed it by 1 point. Meanwhile, he's reading to the entire class, reading off the lunchroom calendar menu. Well, today we're having chicken fingers and French fries, and all the little kids are looking at him, and white, Hispanic, it didn't matter. They were just looking at him, and he's just reading off the menu. So I knew he was ready. I knew I was on the right track. But I remember being very, very disappointed, but I later found out what that really is and how a lot of times our kids, you have to literally have an act of Congress before they can even get into the gifted classes because those seats are reserved for others. That was my first introduction to that. And then later, as I became and delved more into education, I started seeing where these disparities come from and how these disparities, are engineered. Nevertheless, I was bound and determined that my man was going to be where he needed to be with or without them. So, 4 years old, 5 years old, if I'm sitting at my computer going over my stock portfolio, he's going over his stock portfolio. I'd take him to closings. I'd let him see the check. He'd be like, "Oh my God, we're rich, Dad, we're rich." Yeah, okay. How you think we got that? What are you gonna do to get that? No, I see where you're going with, so okay. I take them to see houses when I'm, buying real estate. Hey man, what do you think about this neighborhood right here, man? What do you think? I mean, you think it's one that we should look forward to? And he'd look around and, well, I mean, I see new buildings. I see new houses being built, and yeah, Dad, I think the neighborhood is gentrifying, and this will probably be one that you should buy in. And at this point, I'm inside, I'm bursting with pride, but I'm just keeping it all in and just taking it all in, But okay, once again, he's on the right track. He's on the right track, yo. Fast forward, now we're in high school, going into college. Okay, he's doing his thing. Now it's time for an internship. He's going to graduate next year. He's in his junior year. All of those years that I've been thinking about this and marinating on it is now here. Well, guess what? I was able to make those phone calls. So he's interviewing with Justin Bieber, Usher, Chris Brown, Beyonce, Outkast. He's interviewing with their financial manager here in Atlanta. We're in the Georgia Pacific building overlooking the entire city. Big, big shout out to Jared and Neat for making that happen. Can't forget you guys and love you for it. So Solomon pulls me, the guy who's interviewing him, pulls me to the side and even tells me, Dwayne, I just want you to know, man, I ain't never seen nobody's father go as hard as you, man. You know, and at that point, I knew we had made an impression on him, you know. So I'm talking to my son. What do you think, man? You think you could get used to this? And I'm trying to boost him. There's no question about it. I'm gassing him because I want, him to see the bigger picture, and he did. He does. Oh no, Dad, I could get used to this. I could get used to this, Dad. So I said, okay, well, cool, let's go. So Solomon told him, if you come in here now, it'll be like trying to learn a foreign language. Go back to school and take intermediate accounting. That is the one class that will separate the men from the boys. So what do? I'm like, man, change your schedule, do whatever you need to do, man. Take that intermediate accounting, man. So he does that. He also interviews with Ernst & Young. They wound up being a little too conservative of an environment for him at the time. But nevertheless, he was there interviewing with the partners. Wound up getting an internship with a CPA here in Atlanta. Big shout out to Cy. And went on to some other interviews as well, but that's where we wound up landing. So everything's working just as I had planned it. Years and years ago, when I'm at Sean's mountain house or talking to the white guys about how they got a job, it's all happening. So at this point, I'm just super excited and I'm ready to take on the world right alongside of him. So fast forward, every parent will be able to relate to this. You never want to get that call at 2 in the morning when your kids are not at the house and something's gone horribly wrong. Well, it wasn't 2 o'clock in the morning, but nevertheless, I got that call. One afternoon, my son calls me. I pick up the phone. What's up, man? And he's hesitant. And he gives me that voice that you also don't want to hear. Dad, I'm listening for commotion. I'm listening for fights. I'm listening for arguing. I'm listening for sirens. What is it? And he tells me, I'm having trouble with this intermediate accounting. I'm like, man, come on, man. We've been here before, man. Miss Buckaloo's class, man. We just got the tutor. We got the tutor. I mean, come on. We're good. And then he proceeds to say, I want to follow my passions, Dad. That's the sound of my intestines and my heart being cut out of my body. This is damn near 30 years in the making. And all of a sudden we start to talk and he starts to talk about, well, Dad, there's a paradigm shift. Whatever you do, do not quote Instagram life gurus to me right now. He started quoting Gary V quotes. Big shout out to Gary V. I know you tell the kids to follow their dreams and Don't listen to your parents because you have to be happy. And there's truth to that. But this was 30 years. I'm like, dude, I'm giving you the blueprint. Take the blueprint and buy your passion. You come out, I'm aligning you with people you're going to be making 6 figures day one. Dad, I just got to pursue my passions, Dad. Okay. And if that wasn't enough, my daughter decided to go to Emory. She's going to be an anesthesiologist. I'm already making calls. I got somebody over at Emory. Okay, I got another person. Angela didn't know it, but Angela's girl Dawn. Angela, you were gonna get a call, and I was gonna talk to Dawn about perhaps even letting my daughter shadow her, or anything, just whatever. But because I'm big into getting our babies that head start, because once again, going back, I didn't have a head start. I didn't even have a start. So I'm trying to change that, right? So Nadia says she wants to be an anesthesiologist. I'm like, cool, let me make some calls. She comes back. Now, she's nothing like my son. He was a little hesitant in breaking the news. She calls me, Dad, I ain't going to be able to do it. Now I'm sort of prepared and ready because I've already been through it a few years ago. What do you mean? What do you mean not? What do we need to do? We don't need to do nothing. I'm just going to change my major. So here it is, all over again. And my dreams just crumbling before me. And so, yeah, she wound up changing her major. And I just had to roll with it. I just had to roll with it. So I say all of that to say, I recognize now that if you shoot for the stars, and God knows I was, they'll usually wind up on the moon. And you know what? Who can be mad at that? Who can be mad at that? So now that moment or that period in my life has passed, those feelings of wanting the best, those feelings of being a nurturer, those feelings of wanting you to win, they don't go anywhere. They don't go anywhere. I'm just simply redirecting them. So whether you're young, whether you're old, pivoting to a new career, as a lot of people have, due to the pandemic, if you have teenagers, whatever the case may be, if you're hearing my voice, I want you to win. And I am willing to go to the ends of the earth in order to make that happen. And the good part about it is I've already seen my fair share of disappointment is such a strong word, because I'm so proud of where my kids are today and what they're doing. And they did pursue their path. So again, I can't be mad at that. But now I just want to redirect all of that passion to you. So that is why we will have guests on this show dropping gems, telling you about finance, telling you about the pitfalls. I will continue giving you my long-winded ass stories. Hopefully you can appreciate them in the end. But that is my why. I want so much for us as a community. I want so much for those young people out there who do not have the advantages that my kids had. And trust me, I know that and whether they know it or not, because that's the other thing. When you grow up with it, oh, that's just dad loving me. Oh boy, there he goes loving me again. Nevertheless, whether they see it or not, I'm sure there are going to be others that can see it, because it may not have been as prevalent in their lives as it was in my circle's lives. So, y'all, I can't stress this enough. I want you to win. And if I have anything to do with it, you will. So that's what we're here for. That's what we're doing. That's the goal. That's the mission. And I'm hoping you're willing to ride with me on this journey. I realize this is my first attempt at doing something like this, so there are things that I want to improve on overall, but I'm hoping you feel me on this, and again, we can take this journey together. So with that being said, I'm going to leave you with that. And again, thank you so much for watching. And I'm Dwayne Dixon, and this is Success of a Nation. Take care.